you're going to hear some barking and you're going to hear some noises like clattering paws around. That's because my dog's about, so sorry about that, but you know, she lives here too. Right, I've had to bring this downstairs just because I do not have enough room in my display room to actually be able to unbox this properly. But as you can see, that's the size of the box, or at least the shipper anyway, and that is a 1/6 scale normal figure in front of it. That's the 3.0 Scully box. Hot Toys are maybe a little bit bigger, but not much bigger. But you can see the size of this thing is enormous. I mean, this is a 1/6 scale figure. This isn't like the Ghostbusters car or something, which you would expect. It's actually a 1/6 scale figure, and they have really gone over the top with the packaging. So I don't actually understand how Blitzway have come to the conclusion that the actual figure needs this big a box. But however, okay, I'm rocking the PJs today because I feel pretty good. I'm going to try and stay out of the way as much as possible, so you have to look at my ugly mug. But it says here, do not use blades to open. Well, it must mean roller blades, because I'm about to use this thing on it. So let's pop this open. Oh, I'm still on quarantine, so I'm still not allowed out. That's why all of this is looking weird, and I'm also looking pretty disheveled. But wow, there's a lot of crap in here. Lots of styrofoam corners. So the box is a little bit smaller, but they've like super packaged this up. They really don't want this having any problems getting to you. It's possibly because they've done limited number of these, and you know, they're not going to do a massive run of spares, so they want this to get to you as safely as possible. That way it reduces the amount of spares they have to make to replace items. Right, this is the box. Let's get the plastic open. Oh, I've been looking forward to this for ages. It's going to be awesome, this one, I think. This is an original design. This is not from any sort of IP or license that you would normally get. This was designed by Blitzway and Behead, which is Beheadworks, which is a artist from Korea. Wow, look at that box. That's nuts. It's got this sort of Spot UV Hunters logo there. It's a day after World War III. Blitzway 1/6 scale collectible figure, Berbakat ZV Test Type 0. There's some of the artwork on the front. Oh, and on the side they've managed to nicely just put a nice promo picture of it. And on the back we can see all the creators of this. Design and illustration by Beheadworks, which is an artist / custom figure maker who signed a contract with Blitzway to make 3 different figures. This is the second one. The first one was the boy, and I really wish I had picked that up. But the only thing I've got of that is actually the sniper rifle, which I found on eBay when I was looking for the boy. The only piece I could find was that rifle. Everything else was gone. So like I said, they probably wanted these packaged up really strongly because they did not want to have any damages, because there's probably not a lot of them out there. Then on this side we can see a little bit more of his illustrative work. Hunters, day after World War III, and the Behead logo. And up the top we've just got the same again with some illustrations, and on the bottom we've just got the Blitzway logo. Open this up. Okay, we've got a product manual. There's a couple of little bits of there's some instructions here. Interested to see what that's like. Oh, and they've done what they did with the Ghostbusters figure, which is they've got the Blitzway Velcro straps across the top and the bottom, which is really cool. And I can see that the ZV type Berbakat is on the polystyrene there, a bit like the die-cast Hot Toy Iron Man figures. Alright, moment of truth. God, I hope this isn't broken, I swear to God. Oh, these straps are cool though. Okay, let's see if we can... Oh, heard something clink. Hopefully... Bollocks! Okay, so as I was opening it up, bits fell out, including silica gels, which was fun around the dog. But yeah, you can see it's actually, there is a lot of styrene for what it actually is, which is a 1/6 scale female figure. This is looking pretty nice so far. You've got the base, you've got some of the accessories, you've got this big ass gun. I think this is the helmet that she wears. Oh, there's a bit of weight to that actually, I was surprised. There was so much weight to that. And look, there's even more silica gel in here. Man, they did not want to run out of silica gel, did they? Look at this. Wow. Packaging wise, this is probably the best packaged figure I've ever gotten. The polystyrene is really thick and sturdy. The box is properly protected by polystyrene dividers between the shipper and the actual package itself. Honestly, I have to give it to Blitzway. They're not afraid to actually make sure this gets to you nice and safely. Okay, we're going to just open this all out and get it out, and we're just going to have a look at it. Okay, now that I've unboxed everything, let's have a look at all the accessories that she comes with. And don't worry, because I have a funny feeling you're looking at all this going, what the heck is all of that? And I don't blame you. Even I was a bit confused when I first opened it up. But when you actually see the whole figure put together, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. Now, this is basically the base, and it's probably the tallest base I've ever seen in my entire life. It's massive. I mean, thickness wise, it's about, from its tallest point, it's roughly around 5.5 inches, which is a pretty big base, to be honest. On the front, we can see she's got her name there on this little plaque. It looks really cool. They've done this sort of nice sort of rust, sort of like the brass, I don't know what you call that, the oxidization of the brass or whatever. Then they've got all this nice texture around the base. Hunters is spray painted on the side, and up the top it's quite nicely weathered. I mean, honestly, they could have done a little bit more. You know, you see some of these custom figures that people do with the weathering is just amazing. But obviously this is sort of more of a mass produced figure. For the price, I think it's a pretty good base. You can see all the dirt is all in. You can feel smooth parts plus rough parts, meaning that they've actually done different kinds of textures in there. All this rust and dirt around the edges. All these really cool wires just around here. Very grimy, very dirty. Super effective, if not just a little bit too tall. Okay, coming into the main accessories, we have the helmet here. Details wise, it's pretty nuts. It's a fairly crazy design, which is why I actually fell in love with the figure in the first place. There was this really sort of crazy stuff that came with it, and this helmet is part of some sort of, I can't remember what it is actually. Is it some sort of psychic link that she has or something? But it's something she wears on her head, and it's got a hinge on it here, and this piece comes down. It's very asymmetrical, deliberately so. It was really hard to find out a lot about the designs of these figures, because a lot of the stuff that he did was in Korean, and it's really hard to pull it all up. But details wise, my god, there's a lot here. This camera piece moves up and down here. I think that's supposed to be that. There's some sort of vent or something here. There's like this little cylinder gas, maybe oxygen thing here for breathing. And you can see all the leads and wires coming out of it. Very, very detailed. Some really nice sort of hazard stickers on there. I really like all these little bits where sort of it looks like metal plating that's been hammered. It's not perfect. It's got some dents. It's got some imperfections in it. Some nice off-style little bits of weathering there. The canisters, it's got like sort of gloss areas, matte areas. And I love all these edges here where they've managed to get all the sort of like the paint chipping in. Yeah, I'd say from the prototype, this is probably about 90% of the quality, which is about right from prototype to actual mass-produced figure. But still, it is a very impressive piece. I really like that. I can't wait to put it on her. And this is the backpack. You can see it's got the straps here to go over her shoulders. They've designed this so it's got like a sort of padding area around the back. Obviously, it's actually hard. It's not real cushion padding. Details in that is mad. All these sort of tubes coming in and out, all the dirt and markings all around this cylinder, more wires, lots of paint chips. Again, a very detailed piece that's going to look fantastic on her. Next up, we get this sort of front abdomen piece that sort of ties around her waist and then it sort of hangs down. She's got this really cool sort of like all these little gadgetry and little boxes on there. Again, the same sort of quality, sort of beaten metal that you see with all those little dents and scratches in. There's not much around the back, to be fair. But again, we've got those sort of like weathered electric boxes all around here with caution stickers on. I mean, The details in this are really impressive, honestly. I mean, it's really going to stand out in the collection, I think. And next up we come to the big boy, which is the massive sort of Gatling gun thing that she has. This is incredibly nice. Now, I noticed some people were reporting that the handle was sticky. Because this is real fabric, they've had to glue it on, and it can be sticky to the touch, but it's not on mine. It feels pretty dry, so I've got to be grateful for that. This handle is on a hinge so that you can move it up and down to suit where her arm is better, and it opens up here at the hinge so it can clamp around her arm a little easier. And she obviously holds onto the handle here like that. This bit rotates quite nicely. And obviously this is some sort of handguard that she can hold while she's trying to grip the massive gun. I mean, the size of her, you don't think she should be able to carry something like this. But that's the point. It's a stylized art piece. It's not meant to be realistic. And then we can see she's got this little nice metal plate. See, it's all bent and dented around here where it's had to be formed onto this actual gun. You know, sort of like an aftermarket mod most likely. And look at that weathering all around the edge here. That's a word I'm going to be using a lot here, weathering. But details wise, when you've got this in eye, I don't know if it gets picked up on the camera, but to the eye you can see all this sort of weathering in the edges here. You can see rust and dirt and dust, especially on the bottom here. You can see all the dirt and the dust and the rust just around there. Cool little bolts. I really like that. And then she comes with this revolver gun, Dirty Harry style. Doesn't seem to do much. The revolving thing does turn. I suppose you could call it a 6-shooter, I guess. Don't think this opens up. I'm trying to do it, but it feels very flimsy, so I'm not going to break it. But yeah, this handle on this gun feels a little sticky to the touch. Maybe the weathering or the dirt has actually caused this to be a bit more sticky than it normally would. But I'm hoping that dries out over time. But you can still see it's really dirty. The fabric on the handle is real. There's some real nice dry brushing on the barrel. It fits in pretty nice. Also comes with this hand grenade. Suits the style very well, especially with this sort of orb-like style of the helmet. This sort of weird, misshapen orb-like grenade. She also comes with these two straps. I'm not 100% certain where they go yet, so I'm going to have a look at some of the pictures of the figure to work out where they're going to go, but they look like belt straps, so they're going to wrap around something, probably the gun. This here is the sort of tubing for the helmet. This, I don't know what it does, but yeah, it provides power or some sort of liquid, God knows what it does. Very malleable, bends any shape, any which way you want, so if you're going to pose this figure up, this isn't going to stop it from being able to be posed. It's very nicely battle damaged. Yeah, I like that. And then what's a girl to do other than have some accessories? These are just some bracelets for her arm. I think they suit her really well. Okay, now that we've had a look at the accessories, let's actually have a look at the figure and see what it's like. Okay, I've had to move shelves because she will not fit on my normal filming shelf. So I've had to move some figures around and put her into this one over here, but it is what it is. Let's have a quick look at the figure itself, and we can see she looks really nice. There's this sort of weird stylistic choice in the body shape and the head sculpt and everything that really gives her a sort of very unique feel, especially in 1/6 scale. It's based on the art style of Behead Works, and although it's not a perfect representation of his work, because they've taken elements from the original sort of Berbakat Shiva Voda artwork that he did and the figures that he did, and they've sort of amalgamated it and moved things around. For example, the head sculpt is very different, simply because I think the original had sort of really sort of messy, scraggly, blondish, dirty blonde hair, and these really, really big, oversized eyes. And for some strange reason, they wanted his artwork and his style, but they wanted to tone certain things down, like the head sculpt, which I don't get, but it's still a beautiful looking head sculpt. It's very stylistic. It reminds me of a lot of really cool sort of anime characters. We can see that she's actually got some really nice different tones of pink in that head sculpt. There's at least 3 that I can see, from a very light pink to a slightly darker pink to a very dark pink, and it all sort of gives her this sort of look like she does have hair, and it's a really nice effect despite the fact there isn't a shed load of detail in the hair itself. No, there is lines, but there's not a lot of it, but that was a deliberate artistic choice. Details wise, you can see it's kind of dropped a little bit from the prototype, but it's still a very nice paint application. The eyes are nice and glossy, shining there. I really like that plaster on her cheek. The lips are quite adequately painted. There's no mess, there's no slop, but it's just a really nice stylistic head sculpt. And I'll tell you what, this could work for so many other figures. It really could. If we come down, we can see the beads. They're all dirty and weathered up, and they're just big and chunky, and it just looks really cool on the figure. When we come down, we can see the body. The body is a rubber-based torso, but it's I think it's got like two-tone pinks in there. I'm trying to show it, but it's very hard to show with this sort of bright light. But there's two different kinds of pink in there, and it kind of shows up. It gives it that sort of more artistic, cartoonistic style. See, there's some sort of like slightly darker pink here, then lighter pink around the you know what's, and that sort of 90s style top. Really, really nice. Very well weathered. It's a bit stiff around here. I would have liked it to hang a little bit more. That's not a big deal. See the straps sort of hang off her shoulders. She's very disheveled. She doesn't care. It's the end of the world. Why does she give a shit? And then you come down, we can see those arms. And this is another stylistic choice, was the really big hands. Now you could say it's just the gloves that are big, but then you can see she is bending her fingers all the way through. So yeah, you could easily say the hands are very oversized, but they're very nicely weathered again. All that sort of beaten metal looks really sort of worn out, and paint chips, and the cloth looks like it's folding around the fingers. Again, we've got some different colours in here, all that dirt in the palm. Oh, I'm absolutely loving this. I really am. I'm starting to really appreciate this the more I look at it. Then we come down, we can see there's all dirt in the leggings. And again, that's another stylistic choice, is that sort of weird sort of pear-shaped bottom there. Gives it a sort of like its own unique style. You're not going to see any other figure in your collection. Come down those shoes. See all the dirt around her feet? And then she's got obviously dirty shoes on. There's dust around the back here. But that's going to be one of the weak points of the figure. These heels. They feel quite stiff and firm, but over time, in the warm air, they could easily start bending. So you might not want to actually have most of her weight down on those feet. You might want to actually keep most of the weight being held up with the waist grabber higher up on her body, so she can actually not have to put too much weight on those heels. Okay, I think I've said enough about this figure now. Let's get her all kitted out, ready for the party. Okay, in order to put the bracelets on, I have to put them on here, and you can see there's a bit of a wrist peg there. Don't worry, it hasn't broken. It's just that inside here there is another part of the wrist peg, and they go on at an angle and then pop in place. It's very weird, but I have a funny feeling that would in actual fact keep the hands more firm and steady on there, so I wouldn't need to worry too much. But yeah, it is something to be careful of. And here she is all kitted out, the full metal bitch. And before any of you turn around and say to me, what the hell am I looking at? I can honestly say to you, I have no fucking idea. This thing is mad. Honestly, it took me ages to put it all together, but it was practically a labor of love. I was enjoying every second of it, because every single time I started to mess about with it and, you know, tried to put all the bits on there, I saw a new detail, a new feature. I got to see a new different side of the figure. It's fantastic. I forgot how to put this grenade on. Completely not sure how it goes on, but I'm sure it goes on around here somewhere, so it will do at some point. And one of the main annoying features of this figure is that these straps just sort of slide up and down, and because she's got a leg that just slims all the way down, even though you've got it wedged up there, it can easily just fall back down again, which can be a little bit frustrating. Now, I've taken a while to do this pose. You might not think it, because you're thinking her legs look weird, everything looks off, but honestly, that's what I wanted it to look like. I wanted her to look a little bit off kilter, a little bit weird. The whole figure is strange and it's cool and it's very asymmetrical, and the way they've kind of gone with this design is most figures tend to have the figures are standing there and then it will have a base, and if it's like a diorama base it will spread out a little bit, sort of like they're trying to give you the impression of a sort of landscape sort of image. However, this, with the design, with that really tall stand and everything, they're really going for a full vertical style with this, and it works amazingly. And yeah, she is standing awkward and I love it. She looks really odd, and you can see that helmet on there. It's very, very cool. And under this light you can actually see all the weathering around the front here, which again I didn't notice until I actually looked here. You couldn't see that until, you know, you position it in the right way, and it looks amazing. There's so much colour and depth in this. I was really surprised by it. I was looking forward to it. I knew Blitzway can be a little bit hit and miss from their prototype to their final product, but yeah, this isn't that much different from that. However, because this is a original design, it's not based off of any character, it's not based off any movie, and it's not based off any license. Therefore, whatever it looks like is what it's supposed to look like. You're not meant to be able to go, well, that completely doesn't look like her, because there's nothing that looks like her. This is a very specially individual designed character, and you can see this helmet. Don't worry, it does lift up here. Pop out that sort of hose here and you can lift this up and have the head. Now you've got to set the helmet on properly, and I'm trying to lift this up, but one of the problems I've got is the height of the shelf, but you can still show off that figure, and we can see the head sculpt underneath. And do you know what, that looks even cooler. I know they're normally supposed to have like the face masks down, but all that detail in the head and all these sort of bits here really add to the figure. You see all these tubes and all this electrical stuff going around the back, all these wires all fitting around the side here, and that hose pipe tube thing is supposed to go in there. It also fits into her backpack, and wow, just you can appreciate it for what it is and not what it isn't. Turning it around, let's have a look at the back. I've actually just got her standing there, and this hose pipe is sort of wrapped around there and it's holding her in place because she could probably fall forward. But even on the back you can see all that detail. She's very weird, very odd, very individual. You're not going to be getting anything like this ever again. And I'll tell you what, I'm so glad I got it, because it's really going to stand out in my collection. All my stuff, majority of it is licensed figures from Marvel, DC, a little bit of Star Wars, not that much, and just movie figures. And this is none of them. This is its own thing. I normally wouldn't go for this, but it was just, I saw the design and everything and it really intrigued me, and it just looked super cool. And I was right to think that, because it is. It's amazing. I really wish I'd picked up the boy now. Unfortunately, that thing sold out quite a while ago, and hunting one down, the irony being that they're called hunters, but hunting one down is going to be a real pain in the butt. However, I did manage to get his weapon online through eBay, and it's massive. This sniper rifle is humongous, but it's got the same amount of quality and detail that this gun has. And I have to say, if that's true, I really regret not picking up the boy, because yeah, this would have been an amazing set to complete. I do have Dr. BB on order, and I'm really looking forward to that one. It's a sort of a younger, sort of small child girl. Again, the prototype looks fantastic. I have no doubt that there could be some little mods I do to this. First and foremost, there's going to be a bit more sort of like dirt around the upper torso area. Very much like the feet, there's dirt there, but there isn't a lot of dirt, if any, up here, and that's a shame. And I think that was because they wanted to show off all these different flesh tones that they've put into this rubber body. But it doesn't really matter to me. I'm going to actually have to dirty her up a little bit more. Also, the eyes, there is a small white, I know it sounds really silly, but there was a small white line in the prototype around the eyes that really added another level to the figure. and her lips were a lot more glossy. So I'm probably going to go back and redo both those things. I'm going to give her a bit more gloss on the lips, and I think I'm going to try and go in and put those tiny, really faint white lines in around the eyelid there, which just adds another layer of depth to this overall thing. Once I got it all posed in a way that I really liked, yes, I know you're going to hate the pose. I love it. She's standing off kilter, she's wobbly, she doesn't know what she's doing. It's amazing, I love it. If you get a chance, if you're interested in this, grab it, because they probably did a very limited run of these. So if you're thinking about getting this, I would maybe delay another figure in order to get this, because this, when it sells out, it's gone, man. Behead Works and Blitzway probably ain't going to be making any more of these. It's a beautiful addition to my collection. It will be a beautiful addition to your collection, and that's all I have to say on the matter. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you do me a favour now, if you get the fuck out of my cave. I'm going to put this lady on the shelf, and then I'm just going to go wait by the window for 18 to 24 months while I wait for the Blitzway to actually pull the finger out and make that Dr. BB figure, because it's going to look nuts. Bye bye guys.